meeting tonight for our special meeting, as we will not be here next week for Splash Days, in celebration of our Splash Days. So present so far, we have Councilman Wilden, McComber, Podeska, myself, Barch, and Mayor is on his way, is our understanding. So we also have Councilman Porter with us electronically. So we will go from there. Let's see, we have Councilman Podeska will give us our invocation, and then Riker Jensen from Troop 1821 will give us our lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much, Riker. Excellent. Mayor Miller is here, so we'll turn it over to him.
Quorum for short minutes, so if it's okay if we move reports to the end so we can start with the voting items. First business item tonight is the bid award for North Zone 1 Secondary Water Line, Resolution R17-56.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you know, we got this project opened last week. We did a contract opening, I believe it was on Thursday afternoon. You should have gotten a supplemental for the packet. We think it's a good bid. It's in line with everything. The engineer was happy. They were not the low bid. Yes, and we did have an alternate, and staff is not recommending at this time we award the alternate, which is installing a casing under Pioneer Crossing. It's a good price, but right now we think the resources are probably better prioritized elsewhere.
Okay. Any questions from the council on this? Water project's been one we've been.
Just a clarification really quickly, the casing you're talking about is just a water casing? That's not the pedestrian undercross that we were talking about?
So let me pull up the bid tab. What it was a bid alternate, and it was the very last item on the bid alternate. Shoot. And that was for $125,000. No, the additive alternate one was the very bottom. Basically, it's a casing, about an 18-inch casing that you can feed a water line through at some point in the future. And so while it's good planning and it would be a good project, right now we kind of have other irons in the fire that probably higher priorities. The problem is you have to get underneath the central Utah pipe, which is, I think, what, about a 6-inch or 6-foot pipe. And so this is a very deep boring underneath Pioneer Crossing, and we may rebid it next year as part of the continuous flow intersection and have it be part of a betterment agreement with UDOT. But while we were thinking of jumping on it this year, we just felt like it was probably best to postpone that until another time.
Okay, I will entertain a motion. I have a first from Councilwoman Barch, second from Councilman Podeska. Any further discussion on the motion?
Do I need to clarify that we're not approving the bid alt?
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Councilman Porter?
Aye.
Councilwoman Barch?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
McComber?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have item 2, a professional service contract for the 2017 update to the master plan, capital facilities plan, impact fee facilities plan, and impact fee analysis for storm drain, resolution R 17-57.
Mayor and council, thank you very much. As you know, things have been moving so quickly in the city. We're in the process of updating all of our various impact fees at one phase or another. This would be the award of the impact fee storm drain analysis for Bone and Collins, and so we'd recommend that at the staff level.
Okay, any questions from the council? Yeah, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the professional services contract for the 2017 update to the master plan, capital facilities plan, impact fee facilities plan, and impact fee analysis for storm drainage resolutions R 17-57 today's date.
I'll second.
First from Councilman Podeska, second from Councilwoman Barch. Any further discussion on the motion? Do a roll call. Councilman Porter?
Aye.
Councilman Wilden?
Aye.
Councilman McComber? Podeska?
Aye.
Councilwoman Barch?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 3, engineering pre-qualification list amendment, resolution R 17-58. It's all yours, Jeremy.
Mayor and council, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We just had a little snafu on missing someone off the park, so I just want to fix that by adding them back on the park, and they were in it.
Okay, thank you for finding the correction. Any discussion from the council? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve the engineering pre-qualification list amendment resolution R 1758 dated today.
I have a first from Councilman Wilden, a second from Councilman McComber. Any further discussion from the council? Do a roll call. Councilman Wilden? Aye. McComber?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
Barch?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have item 4, the local road cross-section discussion.
Okay,
Do we want to do this or 5? Just, is there preference?
either one. Preference of the council?
I think Councilman McComber's the one that has to probably leave first, so. Which, do you prefer one versus the other?
Okay, perfect. So this is a discussion on the potential for changing the local road cross-section for the city. So for reference, sorry, Chris, I'm going to move you to the left here on the screen. Okay, so this was the old local cross-section from several years ago. You'll notice a 4-foot sidewalk, 9-foot park strip, and then 13-foot travel lanes. A few years back, that was modified to enable the addition of 5-foot sidewalks, and so the travel lanes were narrowed up. For these local roads, there was some discussion as well about how this would help with traffic calming. However, there are some instances where when vehicles are parked on both sides, you have issues getting 2 lanes of traffic through, and our fire department does have some concerns for access during emergencies. So with that, several members of the council have requested information on a potential wider cross-section. So this is a proposed draft. It doesn't take it to a full 60-plus foot right-of-way. This is trying to balance the additional travel lane, but also minimize the reduction or the additional property that would be dedicated for roads. So the addition would be to increase the road, the drivable surface, to actually more than 29 feet. It's actually 32 feet once you include the pan for the curb and gutter there, and reducing the park strip to 8 feet and keeping a 5-foot sidewalk. So this is a potential cross-section, and just wanted to give this to the council for feedback. Obviously, there are some other alternatives as well, but this is the version that staff would recommend consideration.
Okay, Councilman Barch.
Have we talked to parks? I know that we've had concerns in the past about more narrow park strips just because of the viability of plants and vegetation.
We have, Jeremy can weigh in a little bit more, but we have successful plantings in park strips that are a little narrower than that. We didn't want to narrow it any further, though, because of the aesthetics and maintaining, you know, a 1-foot difference doesn't feel like a big change. It would help maintain the aesthetics throughout the city, but still be wide enough for those, accessing those plants and utilities.
And how would we transition between what we currently have and than any new roads in the area? Would you just see a slight widening?
It's not a huge change in terms of the actual right-of-way. The actual right-of-way widens by 4 feet, or sorry, by 3 feet only, and so it would just be a slight change there.
I think this is something we need. I'd like to see this on all of the local roads. In front of our parks, we need to make sure we actually have parking, real parking. Yeah. I think this is better than what we've got right now.
Councilman Podeska?
Just for clarification, up in the staff report, their current cross-section said the last sentence, the travel lane can, however, narrow to less than 20 feet if cars are parked on both sides. That can be less than 10 feet.
Yeah, the 20 feet is what the fire district, or the fire department prefers to see kept open, and so they're just saying, yeah, sometimes it's less than that without giving a specific number. But if you have people parking pickups on both sides poorly, then yes, it can be quite narrow.
And again, had a lot of citizens complain about the narrowness of the streets and the parking, and inability to get through on one straight shot, but zigzagging back and forth. And so the Exhibit C, the larger one, seems to make, in the long run, more sense, even though it's a little bit more expensive. But transportation and mobility out here is one of our major problems.
Humber?
What did we have before we did our really small road? What was our local road width
You mean before this one?
before the 56? Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't.
How
If
wide?
I'm not mistaken, that was the one that they kind of created, we'll say, for Harvest Hills, basically. That's when that came about.
Yeah, for Aspen Hills.
No, for Harvest Hills, because it's the narrow, that's what we have, is that super, super narrow road
That's a
width.
good, yeah, I don't know.
And it was intended that way because there was going to be no street parking.
Now there is. I mean, I think 59 obviously is better than nothing, adding 3 feet, but 3 feet isn't a car on both sides.
So to clarify, the right-of-way changes by 3 feet, but the drivable lane increases by more than that because we're both, just let me go back down to it, sorry, you're losing a foot on the park strip on either side as well, and so it's an increase of 5 feet to the drivable surface. So it goes from 27 to 32.
Where am I missing that? Because I'm seeing 32.
Yeah,
Exhibit
so
A.
it's 29 feet from pavement to pavement, plus you have 18 inches of the curb and gutter on each side. That's the drivable surface. So you get an extra 3 feet there. So the actual surface, I apologize, it's not clear, but the actual drivable width, because people park closer, is 32 feet from curb back to curb, or from curb front to curb front.
Okay.
Wilden?
Certainly in favor of a larger road width. I think there's a number of issues in the city where I have a hard time driving through it and then reading Chief Campbell's assessment. I hadn't even thought about fire trucks, so I think this is the direction we need to go. I mean, just in a little Honda Civic, sometimes it's challenging. I can't imagine a full truck, fire truck, so.
I would agree with Councilwoman Barsh real quick, that when we're in front of parks, we need to maybe have some kind of statute where if it's in front of a park, that the local road is not allowed. Wider road. What we're dealing with Shea Park right now.
Public parks.
Public parks. Right in, right?
No,
Councilman-
I was done. No, I'm done.
Councilman Porter?
I agree with a lot of what's been said. I think for public safety as well as just for the quality of life, the roads need to be widened. I sense that Councilman McCumber might like to see an even wider road, which I would also maybe like to see, but this is a step in the right direction. The only thing I'm sad about is that this wasn't approved before they built my neighborhood, because I wish we could get through. We have numerous people parking on both sides of the road, and getting my truck through can be very challenging. So I'm in favor of increasing the drive lane as much as possible.
Okay. With,
Okay. Thank you for the feedback.
perfect. Okay, item 5, discussion, McLaughlin Ranch concept plan.
All right, Mayor and Council, this is part of the McLaughlin annexation, which is located in the eastern portion of the city between Saratoga Springs and Lehigh. This is a work session on the plan because due to meeting schedules, splash, 4th of July, et cetera, you probably won't get a full work session on this before it comes to you with the annexation, although that may actually, the schedule may be changing a little bit here. But this was reviewed here. It's a little, north is to the left. Go back. Thank you. North is to the left here, and this is 2300 west or 9550, depending on whether you're using county or Lehigh coordinates, or Saratoga Road for us, exactly. And then this is 145 north, curving down. And this is their proposed open space here, 20 acres. It actually includes an existing marina, so a marina up in the northern end of the city. The proposal is to change the designation from business park and light industrial type uses to multifamily, single family, and 2 and 3 family uses. So not looking for a lot of discussion tonight, just wanted to give you an opportunity to take a look at it. The Planning Commission forwarded a recommendation, gave quite a bit of feedback, forwarded a recommendation that the council keep the original intended zones, the non-residential zones, unless the council worked out a development and annexation agreement for residential uses. So kind of left that open for the council. What you're seeing here, everything from small single-family lots, 8,000 and 6,000. You're seeing some age-restricted, the red are age-restricted townhomes, duplexes for the most part, some triplexes, and then also alley-loaded and front-loaded townhomes and some condos. So the condos are the purple here. They're actually working on some slight revisions to relocate the senior age-restricted community so that it's all in one location. Here you can see putting the senior housing all in one place here and then relocating so that the similar products are together. The applicants are looking to kind of buffer the single family from the public works building here with some higher density housing, and we have a representative from D.R. Horton here to answer any questions that you have. Because of limited time, we don't want to have we don't need too much discussion, but you're welcome to give some discussion tonight and then also send any feedback that you have in writing or in person at a later date. So.
Councilman Porter?
Well, my first thought is we keep losing business park and light and office warehouse zones throughout the city, and they're not being replaced anywhere else. And so I'm reluctant to see more erosion in that area. My other thoughts, I guess, as far as regarding the density is density is something that our citizens have been reluctant to support, and this is a lot of homes in a small area. I'm just trying to find. I guess there's the marina is a consideration, but I'm trying to see what benefits are being brought to the city that would make the increase in density something that I could support. And so I would much rather see, if we're going to change the zone, I guess I'd much rather see something that was more along the lines of the mixed lakeshore zone rather than just lots of townhomes. So I guess those are my thoughts.
Wilden?
Since it's a concept plan, I'll keep my comments even shorter than Councilman Porter's. But I like the concept. There's quite a bit of open space what percentage of that open space would be the concept plan? Just, I know it's not calculated,
Yeah, it's not calculated entirely. It's a fairly large percentage, somewhere around 20%, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe 18. I would have to look at it again. John, do you know offhand?
I don't need a real scientific
I looked at
answer
all the
right now.
other numbers for percentages of housing, but since it's fairly preliminary.
John Linton with D.R. Horton. So we have 134 total acres represented here. 20 acres you see is the boat marina, and then we'll have interstitial open space in the project itself. So we have not calculated all the open space that's inside the residential area, but it will be, at least, I think over 20% is a fair number, but we do not have an exact number for you.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that's certainly one consideration is open space, and then the quality of the open space as well, like a green field in the middle somewhere is one thing, a small field versus some other amenity, and there's a schedule with different things, points that you get for amenities, so that's something in consideration. More single-family homes and 2 to 3 family homes versus apartments is always a plus, so that's all I have.
So I'm not impressed by this plan actually at all for a couple of reasons. One, there are 2 main goals in this area. Well, actually, technically 3 goals. We have in our land use plan as office, warehouse, light industrial type use. As was stated before, we're losing a lot of that. Also, we are looking at this area as a TOD type development, transit-oriented development. And really, what I'm seeing here has no meeting areas along that. The only way transit-oriented development really works is when you have gathering places. The third part of that is the mixed waterfront zone that was mentioned also. And again, that works when there's a mix of development. You have to have the retail, you have to have the restaurants, you have to have the transit, all of that has to work together. Here, all you have is townhomes and condos. This doesn't work. It doesn't work for our vision of what we want for this area. Yes, the marina is something that we want and it's necessary, but I don't like the way that it's being done. Other than that, all it is houses, so there's no gathering spot. High-density housing does not work when it's not close to transit, which is coming, but it's a fair ways down the road. But on top of that, it also doesn't work when it's not close to amenities besides just the park. So I don't think this plan is anywhere close to where we want to be. And I think that we're really, really missing the boat on what we're wanting to do with our mixed waterfront. Yes, we've got this incredible marina that we want to develop, but it doesn't do us any good to have a marina with nothing around it if we're actually going to have a mixed waterfront. So those are my comments. You also have some other issues you got to deal with. You've got a road that cuts through the corner and you're using that as open space, so that's not going to work. You're going to put the senior housing closest to public works. You've got snow plows that are going to come through. You need that light industrial and that office warehouse buffer to really actually make it so that people aren't going to be irritated and force us to move public works someday. So anyway, I just don't think this works.
Do you mind if I speak to your second point? Is that okay? So on this revised plan, which I can pass up to you, the senior housing is actually going to be located on the north end.
About that.
And with regard to creating a meeting space, right now, as you know, that road curves. You've got that curve. This plan will create an intersection, a 4-way stop. If you look at it by where that open space is, that is an existing well. Our intent there is to create an intersection where commercial could have some viability along inside that open space, on the north end of that open space. And
Can't have commercial and open.
well,
Diametrically opposed.
yeah, so the 20 acres that we have there, our intent is to turn that over to the city, and if a portion of it, if you want to rezone a portion of that to commercial use or
No, you physically can't do it. If you turn it to us as open space, as part of your open space, we cannot use it as commercial. It doesn't work that way.
Sure. I'm just saying that could be part of the discussion if you wanted it to. The other thing that I'd point out is along that road, we have 3-story townhomes, and in several other communities, those 3-story townhomes often are used for a live-work type use, so that on the bottom level, you could have an office space and create some of that, so.
But that's not the zoning that you're asking for.
Our intent is to have waterfront zone, and that's why we chose to have those three-story townhomes on the south side.
Right, but when you say three-story townhomes, that's a residential zone, which doesn't then allow for the commercial on the bottom and the residential on top. So there's just a lot of issues here.
Sure, we'd be happy to work through some of those things.
Councilman Podeska?
I'm pretty much in agreement with Councilwoman Barch. It seemed to be just sort of stuck out in the middle of nowhere, thing, rather than as a part of a plan in the community. The marina aspect is always appealing, but trying to orient a little bit more. Saratoga Road, but the road on the right-hand side,
Where Loch Lomond is.
that's a, yeah, that's what I thought.
here, about
No, that's okay. That's what
That helps though, right?
that's what I thought was happening. Yeah, often over quite a ways. The north part of the lake shore is pretty precious commodity. It's some of the last that's available, and the possibility of developing that for both retail and recreation. Just set it aside. Park, seemed that with some planning, you could blend the Laughlin property with store property and have something that really functions. Right now, it's just puzzle pieces that don't work well together. See it.
Councilman McComber?
So I look at this as like a first step, right? This is what you're bringing to the council. We can look at it, we can give you our feedback. Obviously, you've heard that we have concerns. A couple of my things is that so close to the north shore of the lake, it is a floodplain, so you have to come up pretty high on your
Yes.
ground. And so a business type approach where you can not have basements and you can be at grade would be less that you'd have to deal with in terms of the flood and not going into a basement or whatever. So that mixed waterfront, is that what we call it, right? The mixed waterfront zone, I'm not sure how familiar D.R. Horton is with that zone. We've had some conversations with them, but really their development in Saratoga Springs now didn't really fit because the zone they got was a completely different zone. It was the master plan community.
That's right, and our intent was to be in Title 19, so it's a little smoother process this time, so.
Yeah, well, and we wouldn't give you that zone anyway. I don't think we even
Sure.
could I don't know if it might be it's big enough, but I don't think it is
think
big
you'd
enough.
want it.
Yeah. So for me,
I should say, with other properties that may come in there, that might be a possibility, but I don't know if it gets up to 400 with the,
yeah, so I just think that go back and really look at the value of possibility of a really cool mixed waterfront. Because you can that's where you can have your store, your housing above, all of those really cool things that would make it very appealing and draw people there. And then I think that we are very good partners when it comes to parks and open space. You can look around our city, we get a lot of recognition, a lot of awards for it. So that open space, that marina, there's a lot of potential that we could help even draw in more support for your mixed waterfront. And then also, in terms of the open space, don't dedicate all of that as open space. If you want to, you can rezone the corner to be commercial space, and we could look at that.
sure, and that was,
Your point.
goes to our
So
conversation.
you're going to exceed your open space requirements. I been doing this for 7 years, and I can look at this, and you're going to exceed it.
Sure.
So you could take a little chunk out of that corner of Saratoga Road, and it wasn't labeled, but the road to Loch Lomond, 145, yeah. You could easily probably take a piece out of there. So when you're looking at
That's
your
our
plan-
intent, is to work with the city to figure out something there, get your feedback.
Well, I would direct city staff for me, to make sure you're working with them, because if that is their intent, we want to make sure they're doing it right and they get the right percentages of open space. I really like the consolidating the senior space. They like to be together anyway.
Yes.
So,
And on this revision, you can look at it if you want, but,
we have,
yeah, we
He
intend
has
for
the
them to have their.
the actual
look
drawn
like,
version.
Yeah, so we want to put all those together, for
and this
sure.
splash pad, is that going to be private HOA splash pad, or is that going to be open to the
Our intent right now is private HOA, but we're certainly open to dedicating it and having it with the city. So
I'd like to have
that's,
a conversation, potentially. It's not the best location for us to have our splash pad, but we would want to upsize it if possible, if we were to be involved.
we'd be happy to work with the city on that.
So let's have those conversations, at least. It doesn't hurt to talk about it. But I don't know if it's the best location, but at the same time, if it's big enough, again, and we maybe move it away from seniors, why do they want to be by the splash pad, right? But the grandkids, yeah, but they don't want to, they want to send their grandkids away from the, sorry. But if it was over by the open space, the big 20-acre open space, or in that mixed waterfront, and you had a splash pad like in the middle as like a focal point to Councilwoman.
Next to the transit plaza.
Right. Well, even if it's walking within the transit, because that's really only about a block and a half, even if it was like in between that mixed waterfront, a big water feature / splash pad, and then put like potential, like leave open space for parking that don't use it, don't dedicate it as open space, that you can have even as potential parking. You can have it maybe just as open space grass, but don't count it towards your 20%. And then down the road, we could convert that part that's not open space, even though it's used as grass, to put in a parking for the transit. Again, let's be creative here.
Sure.
I think that you guys are trying to do some things. It sounds like you're more on the same page with us verbally than you are on paper. And so I think that as you work with staff, and then if necessary with a project like this, with maybe one of our first waterfront, it might not hurt to have a council member go and even be part of that conversation to give, so that we're not always coming here to do that. I know Councilwoman Barch would like to sometimes be on those types of things because she has lots of opinions. I'd be happy to do that as well. I'd be happy to go in as well. I just think that there's a lot of potential. Let's make it work.
Yeah, and that's what I thought, to your point on that 20 acres, that's space that we can play with, where we can get your feedback and create something really nice there. We intentionally left it blank here because we wanted to get your feedback first before we just throw on what we think works there, especially commercial-wise. We're not commercial developers, and so that's exactly what we want, is a feedback from the city on what works there.
Yep. So,
Okay.
great, thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Councilman Porter has one more.
Oh, sorry, I thought I had him on.
Councilman McCumber hit on a lot of it. I like his idea of having a council member or two kind of sit in and help work through the issues with this. I think that, as was stated, that as a first step, this is, we need to keep working on it to get it to someplace where it's acceptable. I just had one question. The future transit right-of-way, is that Pioneer, or is that Pony Express, or is that the light rail corridor?
That's the light rail corridor. Pony Express is the road to Loch Lomond.
Yes.
It's 140, so along the southern edge.
Yep,
That would be
Pony,
the bigger road,
and then
yep.
transit.
That's why a gas
Okay.
station or something close to the marina.
So I was, I would think, especially maybe that area between the transit right-of-way and Pony Express, as well as the town, or what is it? I'm trying to figure out what the color coding is, but those houses to the north of the transit right-of-way, the purple houses, whatever those are, that's the area where I think the mixed waterfront, mixed-use concept really would excel. So, if we could try and get some commercial into there, then I see some benefit being brought in with the project that makes the rest of it a little easier to accept. So that was just, but I agree with the idea of having some council members kind of be part of the process to help this go in the right direction. So.
Part of that.
That's fine if Shelley would like to do it.
Not at this time.
Back to
Great Memorial Day?
we have movie.
Oh, fire update. Mark, do we have a fire update?
Yes, it's out.
Hallelujah.
2 kids playing with fireworks. So they know who the kids are, and they're talking with their parents. But about 15 to 20 acres owned.
We take that, or did?
We took it, Salt Lake showed up, and we said, we're just mopping up, and we prefer not to transfer jurisdiction at this point since it's almost done. Oh, that was Utah County, sorry, Utah County, so. Shelley, that's my boy in the red scarf, and so I suggested this meeting.